Good on you, man. How was your weekend?
Good, good. No complaints, man. It's all good.
Nice. Had an awesome weekend, except for the rugby, which was dismal. That wasn't very nice. So glad I missed it because I was doing some work on Saturday morning. But yeah, score didn't look very good. But besides that, an awesome buying experience day with the brokerage, and we had Emma and Tom flying from Durban. Libalele flew out from Durban. And we spent the whole day just viewing properties and networking, and it was amazing. I was super fired up afterwards.
Yeah, sounds good, man. Tell us about the property you guys because you guys went to sell a property, right? What sort of deal did you look at?
Yeah, we saw a few properties. So we saw, in fact, I've actually got a couple of pictures here that I might be able to share.
Cool.
Let me just head over here. I should be able to see my screen.
Yeah, I can see it. Yeah.
So it started off in the morning where we all met at the City Lodge in Edenvale and got together. We did introductions. That's Edgar there, the top left-hand corner. He's been a SAPN member for I don't know how long, about 5 years
Wow.
now. And Leon was there. Nick Lean's an estate agent, and Mark Bowen, who's joining our mentorship program. He's been in property for 30 years now. He's got loads of experience. It was a good room of people who are starting out and very experienced individuals. One of the properties we went to was a property that was sourced through Auction Inc. and the brokerage in Rouville, Johannesburg. And the interesting story with this is Emma and Tom, they attended the Wonder Wealth Builder workshop this time last year. No experience, nervous, risk adverse, didn't know if this thing really worked. And anyways, they went for the coaching and they leveraged the full Sapin team from the brokerage to at that stage at 360 Finance. They used Intelligent for the trust, Bruno Samar to look at the OTP. And a year later, they bought a four-bedroom property, which was 1.2 million or 1.250 million. They converted the four-bedroom into three separate units, so two three-beds and one two-bed. But it's 2,000 square meters. There's enough to build. So the future vision of this property is to knock the house down. There's a church next door, buy some land from the church. The neighbors looking at selling and actually buying some of the neighbors out and building three-bed houses on it. So Emma and Tom have only seen the property twice. Emma, after they bought it, so they bought it blind, right? I remember we walked around with the WhatsApp camera when they were in Durban, and they almost pulled out the deal because they were so scared. And anyway, I guess from a coaching point of view, I pushed them and I made them do it. And they walked around and they saw the property Emma saw the property for the first time in a very long time. And she was just laughing and smiling. I can't believe we've actually done this. Ricky, so on the left, there's Emma, and then next to Emma, you got Ricky. He's the builder. Then you got myself as the coach, and there's Rumu, Danny. She was helping with the project management. And then there's Tom. You can see happy as Larry. So this nowadays has given them the confidence and they actually don't care. They say, I'll buy in Joburg, I'll buy in Durban. The fear of buying in another city has now gone because
Yeah.
they've leveraged the full Sapin team. And then we went to Mike Van Jasveld. He built 5 houses. So we're busy watching that old video, Dave. You know, the one that
Yeah.
shows Mark's project from the beginning. So we were walking on his building site, looking at his finishers and what he's done. And then we viewed, different multi-lets. There's Tion Rousseau's multi-let. We walked them around there, showing them, what's happening. I took them to my installment sale agreement where I was teaching them and showing them how do installment sale agreements work. As you can see there, Dave, my mask is on. Um, and then and that's underneath the ever tree. So it is a really awesome day because we viewed a development, we viewed a live deal that I hadn't seen, a potential multi-let, we viewed properties where we're busy renovating, we viewed properties that are now finished, and the experience that everyone got was just second to none. And for the members of the SA Property Investors Network, the intermediate and the professional members on those WhatsApp groups are just going crazy. And then afterwards, we got together and we did some student networking. So I invited a few of my students. They came along and swapped business cards and just doing business in the room. So Saturday was a really really cool day, full of education. Let me just stop sharing over here. And just showing people, and also to have people flying in from Durban and seeing what's available in Joburg. So it is really
Mhm.
awesome.
No, man, that's good. Yeah. Looks you guys are doing some cool stuff there. I saw I saw this morning the comments in the WhatsApp group. So when it's coming to PE, when are we doing one in Cape Town?
Yeah, exactly. Mm. no, it was
That'd be
cooking, and
good.
Jean Paul was there as well. I can see Jean Paul's on with us live now. That's cool. How's it, Jean Paul?
Yeah, it's good. Cool. I think, Drew, let
Oh,
me get into it. Let me get the formalities out of the way. Guys, if you have some questions for Andrew and I to discuss or talk about, please put it in the chat box while we sort of go through the upcoming events. And then we can quickly get that done, answer your questions, and see how we can help you guys. So just remember, you can always see what is on our events by checking out our event calendar. Someone from the team will post a link in a bit, so you can see where all our events are, everything that's on our calendar. So it's a really good, exciting one. This week there's only 2 events. So tomorrow night we've got the SAP Global Invest team. So we got Lyndon Booth and Rian, forgetting his surname now. It's not on the card. So we got Lyndon and Rian from WealthPoint. They're going to come talk to us about a new global investment platform. Drew, do you want to quickly talk about why we're launching the global investment platform, what you're looking forward to about it?
yeah, sure. I mean, as you know, Dave, and some of the members here with us right now, I've been investing in the UK for 15 years. In fact, that's where I started my property stuff. It was in the UK. And yes, I invest in South Africa. I do multi-lets and buy-to-lets, and I flip properties. But I've experienced the power of the pound, right, and dollars. So I've always like wondered, as South Africans living here, how do we get that exposure? How do we invest offshore? Now, there's 2 different ways. Yes, the one is if you got £100,000, you can get into a plane. We can drive to the UK. I say drive. We can fly to the UK. You can set a company up. I can show you how to buy a house. I can set the whole power team up for you. But you need to A, have the cash, and B, there is hassle involved. There is headache involved. And I've come across a lot of South Africans that love South Africa. They want to invest here in South Africa, but they also want to diversify. They want to invest into dollars and pounds. They want to get the stuck into projects overseas, but they don't have the time. And what we're launching tomorrow night is a technology-based platform that's going to allow you, as a South African, very quickly to log into your own wallet, and we will set the projects that we're all going to be investing in, and you can start investing offshore. It's very, very simple. And I'm sure you all agree with me. To earn dollars or pounds is a very, very powerful thing. So if we can build wealth in South Africa with the deals we're currently doing, but diversify, I think that's a good option, Dave.
100%. And it's at the end of the day, I think you and I've always had this back and forth around offshore, onshore. Sapin is very publicly say invest in South Africa, but at the end of the day, like we're talking about, diversifying your portfolio is really good. And yeah, Drew, you and I could probably go to the UK, find a deal and get a deal at 20-30% returns. Get 20-30% is really aggressive, at 20% returns on average.
Yeah.
Or you could invest in something like this in this platform where some of the returns are around 15%, generally close to 11, 12. So it's 2-3 points below what you and I could achieve. But at the end of the day, you don't have to do the company registration. You don't have to do company tax returns. You don't have to deal with tenants. So it's a really good balance. And I think if someone's looking to get capital offshore, it's a really nice way to look at it.
Yeah, 100%. And it's
Yeah.
no brainer. All the hassle has been taken away. So, Dave, I urge everyone just to log in tomorrow night. Is it 6 o'clock or is it 6:30, Dave?
Uh, I've already closed it. Let me double check for you. It is 6 o'clock. So
Cool.
6 o'clock. Someone from the team will put a link in the chat box. It's the go up now. Yeah. So from 6 until about 7:30, run from there. Get a bunch of guest speakers. Pretty much show you around the platform and talk to you about what we're doing over there. Moving all forward in the week, our next event is Andrew, you and I doing semifinals online on Thursday, which is about usual. Drew, do you maybe want to talk about how semifinals went last week? You had a really good one over there in Taff and Joburg.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. So a group of us went to TAF. Geez, I mean, I wish I had those photos to share with you. I've got them somewhere, but that was a really awesome event where for the last few months, Dave and I have been doing semi-finals judging on a Thursday evening, and TAF invited us to the offices in Braamfontein, where we had a judge from TAF, James Paris, the Intergym boys were the judges. We got the portfolio managers of TAF. We invited some guests, and we had 5 contestants pitching, one for social change, one was innovative, and the rest were big league. So you'll see guys were doing 350 units. Larato was most growth. She's buying property after each other. And then we did some networking. So again, it is great to get together. An amount of business that happened that night. You could just see people were buzzing, swapping business cards, doing deals. Great clients for tough. And it was just a buzzing event. Before I went a bit earlier, I met the portfolio managers. We spoke about our ecosystem because, Dave, as you know, we are building South Africa's largest ecosystem from the Property Academy to the SA Property Investors Network Preferential, the brokerage investor of the year. So it's just a really, really awesome evening, eh?
100%, man. No, it looked good. The photos are good. The videos are good. Yeah, it was a nice one. So we'll see how we can do that. We're doing that in Cape Town in a few weeks. And we'll see how that one goes. Hopefully, it'll be as big and as exciting, and we can see how that goes.
Yeah,
Um,
definitely. Yeah.
Cool. Just looking back at events. So that pretty much takes us through this week. There is group coaching this weekend for the guys who enrolled in group coaching a couple of months ago. They're actually nearing the end of their coaching program, which is really cool for them. And then looking a little further forward, the next major events, Andrew, you've got a day workshop next week, Saturday, up in Joburg. For those of you guys don't know,
Yeah.
you can join Andrew for pretty much a full day workshop. So whether you've got experience in investing in property or you're a beginner, hands-on with Drew in a boardroom for about from about 9 to 3 here, Drew.
Yeah.
Go
So
and
what
do
I'm
some.
going to do is I think, Dave, I'm going to shake it up for the guys. So what I'm going to do is, yes, it's a workshop. Yes, I'm going to invite Chili Boy and Bruno because we'll talk about trusts and structures. Yes, I'm going to run the numbers with you. Yes, we're going to talk about power team. Yes, we're going to talk creative finance. But what I'm going to do on the 2nd of October, Dave, is I'm going to take everyone out. We're going to go view properties. So just like their buying experience, I'm going to pick 2 or 3 key properties where we've converted a house into multi-lets. I want to take you to Mindstorm and sell agreement. I want to teach you how did I actually do it? What did the contract look like? So we're actually going to go out into the field and we're going to view some properties because that's when it becomes real. That's when it becomes inspirational. That's when you take what I've just taught you in the classroom style and we take it into the field. And then we'll end off back at the boardroom or the hotel.
100%. So that's going to be a really cool one. That's nice and exciting. Um,
Yeah.
and then the next Sapin event is on the 6th of October. Again, we're going to be talking about investing offshore. How does that look at the moment? And we're talking to the Wealth Point guys again. So Tuesday this week and then Wednesday on the 6th of October, we're both talking about offshore investments, which is an exciting, really nice topic for us to cover.
Yeah. Definitely, eh? And if anyone's just joined us there, I think there's a few people I don't recognize. This
Yeah.
is Andrew and Dave's Coffee Chat, where we go live at 1 o'clock every week. And the purpose of this is to share with you what's happening in the ecosystem, what events are going on, what successes are our members having. But also, more importantly, it's about you. Tell us what you're up to. Do you have any property questions? If Dave and I know the answer, we'll answer. If we don't, we will find out. So if you can think of any questions right now, let us know. At the same time, can you all just tag a friend, someone you know that might be interested in property, someone that's maybe they've got a challenge or they want to get into property, whether it's a friend or a family member or a business colleague. Just tag them in Facebook now for us or whatever platform you're in. Cool, Dave. Do you see any questions or not?
Yeah, there's a few that have been coming through. Just scrolling to make sure I don't miss any of them. Yaku commenting the buy experience looks like lots of fun. So Yaku, when you come back from being offshore, maybe you can join Andrew in one of those. Pretty good.
Yeah, it was all awesome.
Jean Paul asking about talking about setting up structures offshore like we do in SA. So Jean Paul, I think that's the value of the Sapin Global platform is it allows you to do that. You don't need that. You can invest in those offshore assets without going through the process of limited companies and bank accounts. The challenge, and Drew, you've probably got some more recent numbers compared to me. To set up a company in the UK is an expenses. It's got a couple £100, but to admin it and do your tax returns every year, that takes a couple £100 as well. So let's call it what, Drew, £1,000 for the first year.
Yeah. So, I mean, setting up a PTY or a limited company in the UK is cheap, like Dave said. But your running costs can be around £1,000 a year. So if you're buying one property, you might get it a bit cheaper. But if you're running one property, it's not really viable. When you build a property portfolio and you're scaling, it becomes viable. So I think there's pros and cons. I mean, Dave, living here in South Africa and investing offshore. Look, we're doing it. You're doing it. I'm doing it. It's got its pros and cons. I just think these days with technology, what's everyone after? Everyone's after the returns you get. I don't care if I'm buying bricks and mortar over 2-3 stories or 2 stories or this size or that size. What I'm really interested in is capital growth and a rental return. That's what I'm
Yeah,
interested in. And if I can get the same returns, even if it's slightly less returns, but there's no hassle. There's no tenants calling me. There's no Andrew, there's damp in the property. Can you please do a damp proof course? Andrew, your geezer's gone bust. If I can remove all of that and still invest in globally, I'll be happy.
100%. And I think for me, it's that whole process of going to the UK, setting up a company. Your first deal is a chase. You're chasing break even as a business because you've got tenants that defaults, and then you've got sort of low cash flow for a month or two, and then you've got your first set of finances to submit, and you've got to pay accountants, and then you've got to pay attorneys, and it stacks up pretty
Yeah,
quickly when you've only got 1 or 2 deals in the UK, and that costs at
yeah,
least R1 million to get your first 2 deals done.
yeah,
Um, Whereas with Saturn Global Invest, most of the portfolios you can invest from $5,000, and like, you'll never cover the cost of running a company at that with that size of
yeah.
investment,
Exactly, 100%. Just not going to happen.
which is
Okay, I
really
see
cool.
there's a few beginners there. Darren Masecha is asking the question there, Dave. Hi, everyone. Can a life insurance help one to qualify for a higher mortgage loan? The answer is no, because remember, the banks work on your affordability. That's according to the NCA. It all comes down to affordability. Even if you've got a property that's worth R1 million, you got no debts against the property. Even if you're very well off and you've got this big life insurance policy and you've got cash in the bank and you're actually wealthy, but you can't demonstrate or you can't prove that you can repay the loan that the bank's going to give you. They're not going to give you a bond. So it all comes down to bond affordability, not your insurance, and not even your equity.
Yeah, 100%. Next question is from Jean Paul. Do you make use of AdWords on your websites? What's a good budget to start off focusing on a small area? Um, Drew, I don't know if you have an answer to this, but I can also obviously give my opinion. I do run AdWords. What's a good budget to start with? Whatever you can afford, in my opinion. If you can throw a couple of
Yeah,
grand in it, send a couple of grand in it, and see how your returns look. I would say anything under a grand, you're not going to get meaningful results. So I would
yeah,
say throw 2-3 thousand rand at it, see how your returns
yeah,
look, and then see what you can tweak and change. But yeah, AdWords is very good. You've also just got to think about how your ads target people and their demographics and what search terms you're targeting. But
yeah.
it's very good, but can be expensive.
Yeah, I think I'm the same as you there. I think a couple of grand will do the job. I mean, I've tested 500 rand, I've tested 800 rand, and I didn't get much. I got some leads, but example, it wasn't a match. But like Dave said, maybe throw a grand at it initially, and then maybe go to 2 grand. It's going to take a bit of trial and error. Do you want to try to do it yourself? Do you want to pay an expert to do it? Do you want to just do it over 2 days, a weekend, a Saturday and Sunday, where you do campaigns over weekends? That's what some of the estate agents specialists do. They do specific campaigns at certain times and certain areas and certain age groups. So you can get very specific with that.
Yeah. At the end of the day, you
Okay.
just need to get out there and start testing those marketing strategies. That's it. Drew, question from Denzel. Well, sorry, not question, it's just comment. Also new, getting started into the sourcing game. So Denzel, good news for you. We actually finished a conversation this morning with the team. We're finalizing all the information and the details for our sourcing bootcamp. Which is going to be really cool. I'll rattle them off the top of my head because we haven't got it all on a web page or anything like that yet. But the brokerage, primarily hosted by Nico Deploy, will be running a 2-day training event. So the first day is on the 16th of October, and the second day is on the 13th of November. So same workshop, just a month apart, essentially. And the idea is that you're going to sit in a room with Nico. He's going to run you through how does sourcing work, what are the legal frameworks, running the numbers, talking to agents, how to find deals, all of the practical stuff, and then give you some homework. Then you're going to go out for a month, do your homework, come back in November, and then we'll run through those deals that you've done your research on, help you tweak your presentations, and make sure that you know how to source those deals onto investors. So the details for that will come out fairly soon. But at the moment, early bird tickets are 3749, and the tickets will go up to 5,000 sort of early October. So couple of weeks on the early bird pricing, which will be really cool.
Awesome. Sounds good, man. I think Precious was following on a question, was just following on from the affordability question, where she says, then if it is based on affordability to raise capital, what is the best strategy? So if we're talking bank finance, Precious, in terms of affordability, and there's another question underneath that, how can we help the tenants to grow their credit score so they can push the house? So there's two things here. Yes, there's the affordability and the credit score. If you want to go out there and get bank finance, you want to go with one of the traditional banks, your Absa, your standard bank, there's two things to think of. A, do I have the affordability? You may have the affordability where your full-time salary is coming in, you pay your expenses, and you've got some money left at the end of the day that can justify the bank lending to you. You've also got to have a good credit score. So you may have lots of affordability, but you may have a very bad credit score. The banks will go, love the affordability, but we're not going to lend to you, or we're going to give you a terrible interest rate because your credit score is not good at all. So in order to improve your affordability, you've got to pay some debt down, pay your credit cards off, your car loan. Can you get extra income from your job? Can you get a pay rise to try and get that affordability a bit more or a bit higher? And the credit score, I mean, Dave, what are some of the tips you've given your students with regards to how do I improve my credit score?
For one, make sure that you're tracking it. For first rule, track it. What is measured, it gets managed, which is what you can improve. So we personally recommend ClearScore because they give you a monthly score. You can log on at any time, check where your score is, what's affecting it, what's changing it. So knowledge is the first step, and then after that, it's pretty much just the standard behavior of being a predictable credit client, and that's what the banks are looking for, is predictability. So they want to see that you're reliable, that you pay on the same day, those sort of things. So the minor details that get there. So my process is I generally do all my credit payments on the 30th, even though the payments only pull off on the 1st. So last day of the month, I make those payments ahead of time so that they see, A, I'm paying early, B, I'm paying on the same time every month, which generally helps. And then it's utilizing it and paying it down. So simple example, folks need a new TV the other day. I put it on the credit card. I'll pay it down at the end of the month. I could have bought it cash, but I'd rather put it on credit for the month and then pay it down. It's just a better way to do it because then they can see, okay, cool, I utilize my credit and then I pay it down. That's your standard retail credit sort of tricks and trades. With your bank, there's not really much. Sorry, with your home loans, it's not really much you can do to change how they see your credits there, as long as you're paying on time. Overpaying doesn't necessarily positively impact your credit score. But it does obviously help you with affordability in the long term, having an access bond if you have the access facility on there. But yeah, just be predictable, be reliable. That's what the banks need.
Cool. Perfect. Nice one, Dave.
Cool. Just making sure we're not missing any questions.
So I think it answers Digna's question about how can we help a tenant grow their credit score. There we go.
Yeah.
So you just get it. And also there's a question on if you do have a tenant or you put a tenant to your property and you want to sell the property, how do you help your tenant buy that property from you? So the credit score is one conversation, but the other one is, can you do a rent to buy where they rent the property from you with the option of buying the property from you? Remember, if it's a SA citizen, they've never had RDP house, they're earning between 3,000 to 22,000 a month. If they have a dependent, they'll qualify for FLISP. So now they've got a decent credit score. They can actually go to a traditional bank, but they may be short of 80,000 or 60,000 in terms of the buying cost or a deposit. FLISP will be able to help them. And through one of our new partners, Uber Home Loans, if you apply through finance with Uber Home Loans and you want to find out more about FLISP or you want to apply for FLISP, they'll do it on your behalf, which is awesome. In fact, what we'll do is post the Uber Home Loans link or the SAPN link in that Facebook chat box or comments box. And you can find out more about Uber Home Loans and how they can help you get bonds and mortgages.
100%. That sounds good. So the team will post the link there in a bit. So just give it a second, it'll come through. Yaku is asking a question over here. Does a body corporate need to have external management? I've recently had one of the blocks I invest in raising the request to not renew the current management firm and rather take the task in-house and have with external auditors. I don't quite know. Let's just hide that. I don't quite know if this is legal or a good idea. What are your thoughts?
So I think there from look, Jaco, I've never bought in a sectional title scheme. All my properties are freehold. From what I know is that a body corporate can self-manage. They are allowed to. Dave, I could be wrong. You would need to double check. This is a real Nordio question. If the mortgagees, if it's above 20% have been mortgaged, something along those lines, you do need to appoint an external. But I think we'll need to bring somebody that specializes in that because, as I said, Jakub, all my properties are freehold. So I've never actually had that experience firsthand. But the smaller ones I do know of legally are allowed. The trustee gets to decide and they were allowed to self-manage. So I don't see it being a problem from what I've seen. Now, Dave, I don't know if you've had a different experience.
Um, yeah, I'm again not super clued up. I've done about a bunch of body corporates. I've been on a few body corporate management boards. Is there a legal requirement to have an external party manage that? I don't think so. Because the sectional scheme ombudsman, they essentially govern how it gets done anyway. So who does it's generally not a concern. But I think Drew's probably right with of a certain size or a certain number of people, then you probably do want to get it. I think for me, I do have a preference to have professional companies manage it. There are far too many body corporates I've seen where there's the old grumpy Tani who decided that she wants to fire the management company to save on her levies and she thinks she can do a better job on her own, but has zero idea about the regulations that apply. And that's generally where it all falls down. I know the complex that one of my units is in, it is poorly managed by the trust, by the body corporates. They're self-managing. They don't have their sectional scheme certificates. They're not compliant at the moment. And I absolutely threw all my toys out the cot the other day, and they just won't listen because I only own 2 units in a 20-unit block. Um, so yeah. And what can you do if you're one of the small people? They're all worried about bottom line decisions at the end of the day, regardless of compliance, regardless of the risk that the body corporate can become held to. I would rather see a professional firm because they'll generally have indemnity insurance. So if they're not behaving properly, then someone else can, at least the insurance can cover a fine, that sort of stuff. And it's not down to the body corporate to hold all the responsibility for those things.
Awesome. Thanks
Yeah.
for that, Dave. That's cool. I found some of those pictures, by the way, for when I went to Tough. Can I share them quick?
100%. And then we can answer Jabolo's question when you're done with that.
As you can see here, ladies and gents, this was last week, Thursday. Thursday night, because we are in semi-finals for Invest of the Year that is taking place on the 18th of November. Maybe write that down. And every single one of you can join. You got 2 options. You can join us virtually. It's 97 Rand a ticket, and you get to vote. You get to be part of the competition. But please, we are like 8 weeks away. Don't delay it. Just I'll ask Dave if you can put a link in there for you to buy a ticket. It's 97 Rand. Or for a select few who may be invited to the actual event. It's going to be a hybrid event. And this was Safiso Gabella. He's entering into big leagues. He's bought 12,000 square meters. He's going to be building a lot of apartments. He bought it for about $1.5 million below its value. So he got a cracking deal on this. That is just us pitching. I was the host for the evening, which was great. Talking about our ecosystem. It's a handsome guy in the middle there. And that's Lorato. Lorato is a town planner. And Dave, she actually made the finalist for Most Growth 2019, but unfortunately was in a car accident on the way to the competition. So Lorato is back and she wants all of your support. You'll see there on the right is Bruno Samar, one of the judges, and Bongi. He's a regional manager at TUF. And then we had Jamina, she's one of my coaching students as well, getting massive success in Pretoria. Back to Safiso and his family. Let me just skip forward a few here. That's Dexter. Dexter's doing Dave, he's doing a chicken farm in 4 ways, isn't he?
Yeah, 100%.
He's busy rezoning his property to do a development. In the meantime, he's building a chicken farm. He's showing other people how to farm. That's his background. And it's just such a lively event. I want to get to these pics over here. That was the boardroom. That's more Lalo. He was the last one to pitch. He's a developer now, and he's getting to back him as well. And that was the judges, the contestants, and it was just such a great evening. We did some networking afterwards. I won't be much longer. Geez, lots of photos taken there. How'd you get that? And then some networking. That's what these events are all about, ladies and gents. It's about yeah, let's pitch, let's get your deal in there. Who knows? Maybe you'll win a trip to Victoria Falls, all expenses paid next year. And then afterwards, the contestants, the judges got together and we just had some fun. And again, there's Dexter and Bongi, and they're doing business now. So Bongi's the regional manager. Dexter's got quite a few properties, and they're going to do business. And that's what the SA Property Investors Network is all about. It's about networking. So yeah, Dave, I'd share those.
100%. I think Drew, you touched on something so important there that a lot of people come to me and they're like, Dave, I watched some of the Investor of the Year Award pitches. I think I'm going to pull out. The competition's too steep, and it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if you think that you're going to win, and not even talking about how we actually select the winner, because it's not how you guys think we do. But at the end of the day, it's an opportunity for you to network and spend time with these people. It's just another networking time, and I think during COVID, we all know we're starved for networking opportunities. So it's really important that you guys just find time to talk to each other, meet with each other, meet the teams that you need to work with. It's all good.
Excellent. Sounds good.
Cool. Question over here, Drew. How do I approach Tough? Do I need to approach them with a development property with all the costs and financials accessory, or etc., and then they can assist me financially? Do you may want to cover high level how Tough works, what kind of deals they want to do?
So first of all, we need to go through SAP and Connect. So if you want to reach them, you'll go through SAP and Connect, and Dave will post the link for us. But just so you all know, Tough has a specific type of client they're looking for. They don't lend to anyone and everyone. They're very niche and specific. Remember, they're looking for inner city properties. They back the jockey. For example, if you found the best deal in Joburg City Centre, but you live out there in Nelspruit, they'll go, yes, you are experienced. Yes, the deal is good, but we're not going to lend to you. They want the jockey to be local. They want the jockey to be in that town where the property is. They only give you up to 80% lending on that property. Yes, you may be able to access the Tutuko Fund, which is 10% equity at a very good interest rate. So you may get up to 90, but notice the words up to. It may be a higher risk deal, so they may only give you 60 or 70%. So you as the property entrepreneur need to find the deposit. You need to bring some equity to the table. So Tough are looking for an individual that's got some experience. They've done a few deals. You do have some equity. You found a deal in the inner city, which they've come out, they've viewed, and they've ticked that box. If you go to SAP and Connect in a few days' time, I'm adding a few videos to the Tough website within SAP and Connect, where there's an interview of myself and the CEO, Paul Jackson, myself and Kate, a portfolio manager, which is all around who is Tough's ideal client and what are they trying to achieve. So hopefully that answers that question, Dave, from Tough.
Yeah, I think it does, 100%. Yeah, I think for me, just highlighting, guys, it's not a standard bond. It's not for your average buy-to-let property. They're really looking to make a large impact in the markets, which means they generally want multi-tenant deals, larger buildings. That's what we're looking at doing here. We're not just buying standard residential homes. So as much as that is a limit, it's also an exciting opportunity for you guys to get into the big space of working with a conversion, taking the office building, converting it into a residential. That's the kind of stuff that Tough loves working with. And I think that's where the market needs more investors at the moment.
Yeah. Definitely, yeah. There's a question there, Dave, about from Kate Suma. How do you join the WhatsApp group? Kate Suma, are you an intermediate? Are you a foundation? Are you a professional member? Because we do have WhatsApp groups for the SA Property Investors Network, for the foundation membership, the intermediate membership, and the professional membership. And Dave, I'm super excited to announce that we do have a new member of our team, Bussy, who's going to be helping us on the SA Property Investors Network. Bussy, you want to say hello?
Hello, everybody. My name is Bussy. I'm very excited. I'm going to meet you guys very soon.
Yes. So when you guys inquire now through SAPN, and you're not quite sure if you should be foundation, intermediate, or professional, Bussy's with me right now. We're going through all the different benefits because we're also refreshing our memberships. So we're adding value. We're adding benefits like Law Shield, which is legal on-demand legal support for all of you if you're in the professional membership. So you're doing a deal, you're not sure if the OTP is right, or you've made a mistake in the OTP, or there's an issue with the OTP, but you need legal support. I've arranged 24-hour legal support. We're all here to do deals, right? I've arranged up to 40% off of the transfer attorney costs. by joining the professional membership, you get access to the SA Fundamental course, the premier events. So Bussy now is joining the team, and Bussy's there to serve all of you and to help you at the SA Property Investors Network to ensure that you're actually getting value, making sure you're joining a mastermind. Remember, it's all about success. It's all about you growing your portfolio. Okay, cool. I thought I'll just introduce Bussy quick.
Awesome. Sounds good. I've already got a message from Paul Adams. Bussy, you need to chat to Paul.
Okay, cool. Paul, how's it going?
Yeah.
Paul's one of our best members out there in Cape Town.
Yeah, 100%. So I'll manage that for you, Paul. Cool. Yaku's asking a follow-up question about TUF. How does TUF interest rate compare to traditional bond finance? So for one, a very unfair comparison because it's not a standard bond finance product. It's closer compared to commercial finance, commercial lending. At which case, I can't disclose the interest rates because they're generally confidential and it does vary from investor to investor and deal to deal. I found them to be fairly competitive from a rate perspective. I think their loan to values are higher than your average commercial finance facility that you can get, which in commercial finance is actually a little more important. How much you pay on interest is one thing, but how much deposit you need to establish is generally what's the biggest criteria. So understand it's not a standard home loan. You're not looking at that 90% loan to value of prime -3. That's not the kind of deals we're funding. You're comparing it to fairly large deals where, like, if you look at the developments I've done in the past, we're talking 60% loan to value at prime +3, prime +4, and it's just a different product in the market for a different reason. So it's very hard to compare it to like your standard residential. But yeah, in the market, I find them to be quite competitive, especially with that loan to value. And especially if you're previously disadvantaged, then you can take advantage of their, Andrew's going to correct me, Tuku fund.
Tuku, yeah.
Tuku fund that can help if you're previously disadvantaged.
Yeah, which is pretty cool. But you still need to demonstrate that you can put some equity in. And like you said, Dave, everyone gets different interest rates. It could be prime +4, prime +3, whatever it's going to be. So it's not the cheapest, but they, getting TUF on board as a partner in a deal, and they help with the feasibility study and getting up to 80 or up to 90% is very good.
Commercial finance is never cheap.
Exactly. Yeah. Okay.
Cool.
Maybe we should do a recap of the events, eh? Because I think you only done it once.
I just want to make sure. Yeah, I've got one more question that I've got saved up. So let's go back through the events, and then I've got Darren's question lined up, which will take us a little more time to chat about. So, guys, highlights just for this week. Sorry, let me just get my calendar back. Tomorrow night, we're talking Tap and Global Invest with the Wealth Point guys, Rian and Lyndon from Wealth Point. They're going to be talking about what the platform is, how it works, go through some of the technical details, maybe discuss one or two of the live deals that they have. Just a really exciting opportunity for you guys to invest offshore with reasonable amounts of cash and not have to go and move millions of rands into America or something like that, which is really nice. So that's tomorrow night, 6 o'clock onwards. The link is in the chat box. Remember, guys, you can always find the links on our calendar that the marketing team will share a link to it in a second. This Thursday, Andrew and I will be hosting semifinals for the Investor of the Year Award panels. Really exciting to see that progressing into semifinals now. Finals are not far away, so we'll have all this finalists selected and announced fairly soon, actually, which is cool. That takes it for this week. That's the priority. Drew, anything else you want to draw attention to? Maybe the 2nd of October. Talk about the Wealth Builder again.
Yeah, so the Wealth Builder workshop's been one of the most popular workshops and training events we've had now for 2 years. And we're shaking up these events even more, where it's a hybrid now of in-person in Johannesburg. Dave, we even get people flying out from PE that fly out from Durban just for these events because we make it practical. It's not just, I always say education is one thing. So learning in a classroom style like this, it's great to get the information, but the question is, how do you make it practical? What do you say? What do you say to agents, to private sellers? Some of you are beginners and you've never bought a house before. Some of you have got 2, 3, 4 houses and you probably feel stuck. So the purpose of these one-day workshops is, how do we get the beginners going and the people that do have a portfolio and you are stuck? How do we help you become unstuck? And that's why these days are just awesome. I mean, Jean-Paul, you've been with me in the field, and so there's quite a few people on this call right now. So if you're out there, even if you've got some experience, it doesn't matter. These days will change a lot because of the because of the inspiration, the knowledge, and the practicality that comes out of it. Dave, I don't know if there is a link for the guys if they're keen to join myself and my team. It's a full day on the 2nd of October.
100%. The link will be in the chat box once the team is over there, but you can go to joinsappin.com/education to find out about all our upcoming events. Cool. Last few questions that we can put a bow on it, just in a bit of time. You guys have been nice and busy today, so Drew and I will answer a few more questions.
Cool.
Darren, what are the difficulties of buying an agricultural plot of land and making a township established? Would you advise on development of the land?
So that's what Safisa's doing, eh? So it's a good question, and I replied to Darren directly. So Safisa Gabela for Investor of the Year is doing this. It is agricultural at the moment, this plot he's bought, and he is making a township establishment, and it's going to take up to 2 years. The town planners have submitted everything. So what's involved? Money. It's going to cost you to do it, and it's going to be time. It's not going to be a short. Luckily, there's no neighbors that will object. So it's simple for a town planner to do. So I mean, Darren, I don't know if you're part of the intermediate or professional, because this is something which we'll be talking about on the 22nd. I think Dave might be on the 22nd of October is the development premier events. Am I right there?
20th.
20th of October, and we'll be talking about rezoning and all of this. So, Darren, if you are an intermediate or professional member, try get to that event, because we're talking about this kind of stuff. Cool.
Yeah, I think my 10 cents on it, if it's your first deal, don't. Development is not a beginner strategy. It's not something that people should start with. Drew's talking 2 years timeline on agri. That's very generous, I think, Drew. I've seen a rezoning project take 7 years for an agri to residential conversion.
Yeah, that's crazy. Yeah. I don't want to wait 7 years.
No. It depends on, there's so many factors on what allows them to rezone from agricultural to residential, and sometimes it can be really easy, sometimes it can be really hard. So it's not a clean cut sort of situation.
Exactly, yeah.
Okay.
Cool. Paul says he's still breathing. He had COVID. Sorry to hear that, Paul. I was the same in July. It's hectic, eh? I was actually going for my first jab. I haven't done my jabs yet. So has Kay Tsumi replied? She's asking how she gets in the WhatsApp groups. Is she a member?
I haven't seen a reply yet.
Kay Tsuma, we'll just make a note of that. Just write that name down. Busi Kay Tsuma, Tshuma. We'll see if she can find. When you do join as a foundation member or intermediate or professional, we'll add you to the WhatsApp group again. Share ideas, share deals, share stories, share the events. Okay, cool. Not a member yet. Of course, so we need to. So give us your number there. Kate Suma, just put your number there, and Bussi's going to give you a call back. Okay, so let's just get your number there, Kate Suma.
I think I think last question, Drew, then we can wrap this up because we are bumping up against time. Yvonne's asking a very nice question, and I think within the context of the day workshops coming up fairly soon, we can also talk about that. What are the options when entering the property market with your first purchase? Are there places that offer 100% loans? Drew, you want to cover it real quick, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to get the Uber slides from the last event and give you the stats on 100% bonds.
Cool. So there's various different options, Yvonne. So what you could do is you go through a bond originator like Uber Home Loans. Why? Because you'll fill one set of documents out, and they can go to all the banks, not just the 4 or 5. You're thinking about all the different banks. And again, you're a first-time buyer, depending on your status, your employment, who you are. You may even qualify for FLISP. So that's an option, is to get FLISP to help you. But let's assume you can get 100%. It may be that you get 100% from FNB, Standard Bank, and ABSA. You can negotiate the rates. Remember, when they offer you 100% at a certain interest rate, there's nothing wrong with you negotiating the interest rate with the bank. So if you go with, say, ABSA Bank, for example, and if you were or are a young professional, depending what that means, you will be able to get 105. I don't think it's 110. I think it's 105%. So they'll lend you an extra 5% because you are a young professional, which then covers all your fees. So the great thing is, as a first-time buyer coming into the market, ensure that your credit score is good and ensure that you've got affordability and your various different options. But also what you'll find, Yvonne, is, a lot of people think, and yes, of course, affordability, go to traditional banks. But the one thing I want to teach you on the 2nd of October is how do you get a seller to finance a property for you? How does an installment sale agreement work as a first-time buyer? If you can have all those tools in your toolkit, so when you're approaching a property, you go, well, I can bond this, no problem. Or actually, this would be better if I do an installment sale agreement. Because how do you know how you should finance property? And that's what I'm discussing on the 2nd. Dave, did you find those slides from Uber?
Yep. Got them. So just some high level stats in terms of, I think these were their July numbers. So it was a presentation that happened earlier this month. So still a bit of the old outdated numbers. But in July 2021, 60% of their home loans that were applied were at 100% loan to value, was the requested loan to value. Of that, 82% of them were approved at 100%. So pretty strong numbers that if you're applying for your 100% bond on your first time on that, then you go from there. First time home buyer, about half of their bond applications in July, 51% were first time home buyers. So, and approval rates were 90%, pretty much 91% for that period, for the same period. So really healthy market for first time home buyers. Now, I think my only caution to first time home buyers right now is interest rates are low. They're not going to stay there. So
Yeah,
it's my only advice.
So, Dave, what was the bet we had that you said by the end of 2021 interest rates would be 10% or more?
Yes, I did.
Cool. And what am I going to win this year? Am I getting
Andrew, I'll remind you, just to put this in context for the audience, this is the same time, this bet was made at the same time that we thought lockdown would be over in 6 weeks.
Yeah, true. I think beginning of last year in March, April, Dave and I did a bet. No, man, COVID's locked down 5-6 weeks, and by the end of 2020, so we're like, the end of 2021. So this bet's been going on for over a year now. And I said to Dave, I'm telling you, interest rates won't go above 10. They're going to be below 10. And Dave, I'm sure you said they'll go above 10.
I did. I'm going to have to buy you a bottle of something, and you and I can finish it together.
Good. Have a bit of fun with that. But I was speaking to Absa Bank. So we are expecting an interest rate increase this year. But I'll give you more information about that next time I see you all.
Yeah, 100%. I think maybe just a cool little highlight, guys, like these Uber stats, I think these have become a fairly regular thing for us to have at our events. So if you want to keep up to speed with how the bond markets are going, Uber will be doing this sort of market update fairly frequently at our premier or our public events. So keep an eye out, join us, even if it's just to find out what's happening in the lending market. It's a really good piece of information to get for you guys.
Awesome. Thanks, Dave.
Yeah, we're out of time, unfortunately, ladies and gentlemen. If we didn't get your questions, please feel free to email us or hop on one of the WhatsApp groups and ask us there. Really exciting. Drew, thanks so much for your time.
Awesome, Dave. Thank you. Yeah, thanks, everyone. And if you want to reach out to Bussy at Sapin because you want to find out more about the memberships, or you want to upgrade, Bussy said right next to me now, Bussy. Say goodbye to everyone.
Goodbye, everybody.
See you soon.
See you soon.
Hopefully I'll have Bussy's email ready by the end of the day.
Yeah. Yeah, true, eh? Okay, cool.
Thanks, guys. Bye.